welcome back, race fans. We are joining the action live here from virtual Hockenheim. Sunday Night Skippy coming back to you live after a break last week, and for that we do apologize, but we're very excited to bring you this race tonight for both Skippy Formula 2 and Skippy Formula 1. It's going to be a great track. We are, like I said, about now 3.5 minutes into the race, so we'll try to get you caught back up. But first and foremost, I want to introduce our co-commentators tonight. Peter Lee will be with us, as he usually is. Good evening, Peter.
Hi, Chris. Great to be here at this amazing Formula 1 track in Hockenheim, virtually.
Absolutely, and you got a special guest with us tonight. People saw the name Janet there on the race info. Talk to us a little bit. So first of all, welcome, Janet, and tell us who you are.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here watching the virtual race. I'm Peter's sister, so visiting and just trying to absorb all this excitement, and it's incredibly cool. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, Janet, already a natural at this. Being able to the excitement is palpable there, and we also are excited about this race. Let's catch everybody up now. Hopefully you all were watching a little bit. As I'm looking at my event ticker here, it looks like maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Alan Paris maybe had a little bit of a rough start, then looks like Rob West maybe went off track, lost a ton of spots there. Maybe was he started on the pole potentially, and then all the way back to P11. Looks like Chris Daniel and Rob West then crashed. I don't know if that was together or separate, and now the field is kind of evened out.
Yeah, well, so for qualification, Andy Au qualified on pole, followed by Rob West and Alan Paris. And actually the whole field got off to an amazing start, pretty clean. But on lap 2, Rob West got sideways, went off track, and in order to re-enter the track safely from the grass, he fell to the back of the pack. And then, as you mentioned, Chris Daniel made a great pass on Alan Paris coming into turn 6, but overcooked it into turn 6. And so I think he had a little bit of contact with the wall, and so now he's running in P13. But overall, I think the league Discord this week was really expressing a lot of concern on this track about incidents, especially in turns 1 and 2, and these drivers have been handling it really well and super cleanly.
And started front, and I think he's increased his lead.
Andy Au has already earned a fan in my sister Janet.
He is really just putting on a clinic here tonight. 4 seconds is the lead at the moment. Correct me if I'm wrong, this will be a 2 pit stop race, I guess, technically. I suppose there was some discussion, and I don't know if that was in Formula 1 or Formula 2, about this potentially being a one-stop race. I think Michael McLeod was saying, good luck if you try that. But either way, there's a lot of race left to go here.
Yeah.
And you just never know what's going to happen. We do have a great battle, though. Look at this pack led by Rusty Pottenberg here in the number 6 car, currently sitting in 4th position. But look at that train of cars he's got behind him, all the way back to Barry Stockdale, sitting there in 8th. So to your point, so you said Alan Paris started on the outside pole, right, number 2. So clearly he can make his way around this track really quickly, and it looks like he's on the way, trying to march back up and trying to salvage what he can after that early afternoon.
It looks like Jake Ashe has gone into the pits, which is not abnormal for him, as we know, to take an early pit stop.
Yeah, he is known basically for his undercut strategy, so that is, he's basically going to 99% of the time be the first guy into pit road and attempt to make that work. I do see some match and paint schemes here. Not the 6 and the 13 car of Rusty and Kyle. Are these guys teammates? Did I miss that?
Wow, that's news to me, but you're right. I'm looking at it and they are using matching paint, so that might be a new team that's kind of formed here. It's pretty interesting.
It's kind of got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle look to it, if you ask me, but that's just, I guess, showing my age a little bit there. We've got, thank you for showing up, Sheltini33, Mr. Brandon here, watching once again. Guy races on my team there in the Cup Series, and really, really likes to watch these Skippy races here with us. Has raced with us once or twice before, so we hope to see him back. I'm getting Shepka saying that the paint's in a load for Rusty, so I'm going to try to reset here. See what happens.
So, what's really interesting is a lot of the chatter this week on the Discord has been about this short layout. This is called the Short A layout for Hockenheim. So it's not the full Formula One Grand Prix layout, and so that's one reason why you're seeing lap times at about 1:11, 1:10 thereabouts.
Yeah, they're not in the Formula One cars.
Right. Although it does have some of the most famous turns, and it's been a real challenge, and I think people have been loving this layout. Maybe a little scared because it's such a short, tight track, but it's just really been kind of a fun thing to race on. It looks like coming down the front straight, Kyle McCormick and Rusty Pottenberg are side by side coming into turn one.
Oh, look at that curb. How much of that curb can you take there going into turn one?
Well, are you willing to take a penalty or not?
Well, there's a little bit of contact.
Oh, and that looked like, was it Alan Paris who made that move on the inside in turn two? Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, he made his way up there, so now he's got Rusty Pottenberg in his sights.
So here, so turn one and turn two, honestly, in traffic are kind of terrifying, at least speaking for myself, because it's hard to know if you defend by defending an inside line going into turn one or turn two, you really compromise your exit. But if you don't defend, then any reasonably competitive driver will just see that open door and go for it. And in the pub races, in both turn one and turn two, it's just been, not to use French, a crap show. And you could see, in that move that Alan made, what happens in turn two. You can kind of dive inside, and it's not technically a dive bomb, and there's just nothing that the guy on the outside can do.
So how do you get a penalty? Oh, how do you get a penalty, and what happens? Do you lose time?
Yeah, penalties. That's there's probably a big long book that someone's written. So there is an automated system in iRacing that can tell your car to slow down and give up a certain amount of time on the track, or else you'll be forced to go into the pits, or even disqualified. And then on top of that, the Sunday Night Skippy League has a system of protests with real live human expert stewards, referees, that can hand out further penalties. Chris, are you a steward?
I think technically yes. I don't like to chime in. Obviously, being the broadcast, I like to be able to have a little bit of freedom of journalism here. But if there's a tiebreaker, I will chime in. I wanted to say real quick, Phil Arakelian. Holy cow, can't talk tonight. Phil Arakelian back with us once again. Good to see him. I know he's had some recent hospital visits, and always a pleasure to have him back in the Skippy series and running some good laps there. Looks like he's going to be in a pit road. A little bit of connection issues, so we'll see where he ends up popping out, but that's going to leave Andy out here with a 8-second lead. But yeah, so back to your original question there. Yeah, there's the on-track, the iRacing penalties that are kind of automated based on the software, and racing in a league, which is what we're doing. we can also then add a layer on top of that, like Peter, you were explaining there with, additional season-long type penalties, or we have a safety score, that sort of thing. So it's a little bit different than just racing on iRacing, and what you would normally just get with a subscription. This is a kind of organized event, and it's a lot of those penalties are tracked separately to kind of ensure driver safety, and we're not trying to purposefully weed people out, but if somebody just clearly doesn't have a handle on the car and is ruining the races for other people, then we have a means of dealing with that. So
Chris, I'm seeing in the Twitch chat, there's from Shelton, there's a comment about these guys really know how to slide these skippies. And it's true. And it's true that these guys have amazing car control, and they're just on the edge all the way around. And this is something we've talked about before, about slip angle. That these cars, since they use treaded tires, you can really get the tires to roll in a not straight direction, because the tread blocks actually squirm and twist under load when they're warmed up. When they're cold, they don't do that, and they're stiff and they just slide. But when they're warmed up, the tread blocks, if you can imagine that on your road tires, just on your normal car, when they get warm, they get pliable and they twist. And so you can just watch these guys, and it doesn't look like the car is rolling straight. And that slip angle is just one of the amazing things that you learn about how to drive when you're in one of these Skip Barber cars.
Yeah, one of the ways that people talk about is that you're literally just throwing it into the corner. It's very dirt road, dirt oval esque that you would see on short track dirt racing, but there's definitely a skill to it. That slip angle, there's a fine line for these Skip Barber drivers, and the best of the best can really find that and use it to their advantage.
So it looks like we have a whole bunch of takers for pit stops. Alan Paris, Barry Stockdale, Kyle McCormick.
Oh, Rich Butler's gonna miss that corner, take out a couple of poor cones there. I don't know what those cones did to him, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, and it looks like Rob West is in either penalized or towing, which is unfortunate, as well as Michael Schmidt. Michael Schmidt's now coming out of the pits. And our leader, Andy Au, is now in the pit for his fuel stop.
So here's looking back at Rob West. Looks like he had an off track. Let's see if we can't. Once you get into that dirt and that grass, it's a little tough, but it looks like he saved it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. Daniel, in turn 2, the exit also seems to have had an off track issue.
I'm not sure. Not 100% sure what may have happened to him, but yeah, either way, the pit stop game is afoot. I think Jake Ashe, like Brandon Shelton mentioned, he basically set the tone. This is going to be a 2-stop race, so he was going to stop early and try to get that undercut. And it's working out for him at the moment, as Jake sits currently in second place, with everybody having completed one pit stop so far. So there's one more pit stop to go. Jake is going to have to be one of the first to stop, obviously, because he's been running on this tank of fuel a little bit longer than most. But at the moment, at least, he's now 2 seconds behind Andy Au, who originally had an 8-second gap. So at least momentarily, Jake's strategy is playing out perfectly.
He's driving a great race, and it's funny because I was one of the guys who thought that you might be able to get by with just one pit stop here, but it looks like everyone is assuming 2, because everyone's gone in pretty early.
Yeah, we're only at the 17.5-minute mark here, everybody having completed one, so there's roughly zero chance people are going to try to make it for the rest of the race there.
So anyway, Chris, maybe this is a good time. The reason I had invited my sister Janet to join is another discussion besides fuel strategy for this race that we had on the league Discord this week, was wanting women in the league, because embarrassingly we don't have any.
It is,
And so my sister Janet has a daughter, Abby, who is a huge racing fan, and she's joining the summer vacation at our house this week from Pittsburgh, not until Tuesday, but she's going to get indoctrinated into Formula V's starting on Tuesday. So the evil plan here.
Well, let's put the racing aside there for just a second. So you live in such a nice spot that your house is the meetup spot for vacations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. Yep. And my daughter Abby is 22. She just graduated from college, and she's been bugging me about F1 and wanting to get involved in racing, which is a huge investment, but I'm all for it. I think she would do great. She's very quick. She's very competitive, and I think she would love it, and do really well. So I'm excited for her to come here and check out all the equipment and see how she does.
I think the entry in there to the Formula V is going to be a fantastic introduction to that. And I got to say, so first of all, congratulations to Abby on the graduation from college. My wife and I, Megan, just had our first daughter 2 months ago now. So obviously, we will be encouraging her to do whatever the heck she wants. But certainly. It's just such a unique thing, and you almost hate to say it, but the fact that Peter said was right. Like you don't see a lot of women on the iRacing service at all, much less in our Skippy League. So I think it's fantastic that she's going to get that opportunity, that she's got the uncle there with the setup, and hopefully, maybe it leads into some real world racing stuff. I know, like you said, it's not cheap, but minimally doing the virtual thing, I think it's a good outlet for that competitiveness, and I know for sure that I've got my money's worth out of the subscription. So
before you get into the real racing, I think iRacing would certainly be a good place to start from an investment perspective and get her hooked. And as we know, it's just a matter of time before women take over the whole sport and crush their male competition. So
100%. And as a matter of fact, look at this. We got comments on I think that's Twitch right there. We got people offering up some equipment for some level stuff. So there you go.
I do have some concerns here, because I know Abby really well, and I think he'll be crushing if and when she's faster than me.
Yeah. I was gonna say when, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh boy, but that's gonna be a good day. Good crowd uncle sort of day there.
So we have some amazing action on the track. Rusty Pottenberg, Alan Paris, Barry Stockdale are still kind of stacked up. In the battle for P3, and then back for the battle for P8, Rob Chestnut and Rich Butler are nose to tail.
But look at Jake O'Shea's strategy has paid off, but maybe he doesn't have enough time after the second pit stop to get the same advantage.
Well, Jake will need a little more fuel in the second pit stop, and so that will cost him time in the pits. But
but look at that. As we're looking at the lap times here, Jake for the past 3. So lap 14 was when they pit. The last 3 laps, he's been almost 2 to 3 tenths faster every single lap. So he's really closing that gap there.
He is. This is really, Chris, you and I talk about Jake every week because we just know him to be one of the fastest drivers on the track. And, the thing that we've always wanted to see from Jake is just the consistency to, put his pit strategy, consistency, and speed all together. And it's looking like, hopefully this isn't a broadcaster's curse, because it's looking like it's really
I was just going to say, we're really we're pushing it. No, but you're right. Just look how smooth he is. He just looks really in control of that vehicle tonight, and kind of on a mission.
Absolutely. Andy Au he must be feeling pressure. He did just turn his best lap of the race at 1:10.3. Pretty darn fast. So that's pressure, and so you never know if that pressure at that speed is going to lead to a mistake. Probably. Oh, and it looks like Jake is just diving in for a second pit stop.
There you go. So 23 minutes into the race, Jake's going in for his second pit stop. He's alone. I think that's going to be good for him. I think he's going to come out in a good spot on the track, away from most of the brouhaha there. Meanwhile, look at these. Look at all these cars that found each other again. Rusty Punberg, Barry Stockdale, Phil Eric Hellion, Al McCormick, Hill, and Paris.
Yeah, it is impressive. And so, wow. They are just stuck like glue to each other.
Oh boy, look at that. Barry Stockdale really trying to push us to the edge.
You know, one thing we talk about almost every week, Chris, is, you know, between Andy Au and Jake Ashe, whether it's better to be, whether we'd prefer to be Andy or Jake. To be the hunted or the hunter.
Yep. Yeah, because you got different. I'm always gonna want to be. I want to have that carrot in front of me. You know, I don't want the. That's how the way I view it. If you're second place, you're chasing somebody down. You got the carrot in front of you. It's a clear motivation. Whereas if you're in the lead, all it is the stick. You know, you've got what everybody wants, and the only thing that can happen is you lose it. So it's like somebody went.
Yeah, it looks like Phil Eric Hellion dropped out of that tight pack. And that's always an interesting choice. He might have had to do that because he might be low on fuel, but you know, I always like to stay in the draft pack if I'm there. I don't like to lose that. But you know, again, everyone's different in how they.
But do drivers, are they looking at the virtual reality view, or are they looking at a full view of, so they can see where everybody is on the track?
I think most of these drivers are using virtual reality, and so it's as though they're sitting in the cockpit.
So they won't fully know how far ahead they are.
That's right.
In front.
Looks like Kyle McCormick had a little bit of issue and lost one position, and in that pack, and he's now being hounded by Barry Stockdale there for P4.
So per Joe's request here, we've got who has made 2 pit stops, or I guess how many pit stops everybody has made, and then that time is going to be the amount of time spent on pit lane for their very last stop. So anybody who you see with 1 stop, that's going to be how long they spent on pit road the first time, and anybody with 2 stops, obviously their second time. So we'll keep those up here for a little bit as the pit strategy plays out. Question about the track temp here. Let's bring up the weather real quick. 92 degrees Fahrenheit for the track temp.
Yeah, so that's a little on the warm side. I think at least the Wednesday night practice race that I was in was much cooler, and boy, that was a fast track, really fast. And so this one's a little warmer, but still, you know, the top guys are in the mid to low 110s, which is pretty darn fast.
So Jake is 20 seconds ahead of Phil Arkelian, and they both had 2 pit stops. So that's a real difference, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So Jake is your leader on 2 pit stops there. So Andy Au, your leader by 35 seconds, and he still has to make another stop. So this is really going to be the battle here, as when Jake went into pit road, he had a 1 second gap up to Andy.
Yep.
So keep your eye on that.
So you'd have to think that Andy's got to be running on fumes now, and so either this time around or maybe one more lap, we'd expect him to come into the pits.
There's no risk that Jake would need a 3rd pit stop, is there?
I mean,
it happens.
It's a very good question. There is absolutely, especially for the undercut strategy, you really got to hit your marks. And the way that you refuel, and Peter, you can probably speak better to this than I can, but it's an imperfect science, right? So you know how much you need to fill up, but the standard iRacing fuel loads are very clunky, I guess. They're not precise.
Right.
And so you have guys who will have these third-party software solutions to basically calculate it down to the tenth of a liter or whatever, tenth of a gallon, and basically have a button to cut it off right at the moment that they want to.
Which is
And
exactly what I do. Yeah.
yeah, so it's a lot more involved than I think people give it credit for, but that can bite you either through a miscalculation or you just hit the button at the wrong time. There's a lot of things that can go wrong for these guys, but that's the risk that you run, especially with the undercut strategy where you're trying to make it, X amount of laps. And I'll let you. I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot here. Peter, explain the timed race, because that could add a lap. So
It
how does
does,
that work?
yeah. So it's a 35-minute timed race, but what constitutes the last lap is dependent on when the leader crosses the start-finish line. When the leader crosses the start-finish line and there isn't enough time to complete a full lap before the 35 minutes is completed, then that constitutes the start of the last lap. And so if the leader crosses just before that, then the race is effectively extended by an additional lap, which could cause people problems. And this is an incredibly sore subject for me because this happened last week at the race in Suzuka, Japan, and I had to come in on the last lap for just a tiny splash before the start of this race. Just incredibly frustrating. And it was because those gosh darn top drivers were just too fast and crossed the start-finish line a little too fast for me.
Well, we just saw Rich Butler. I believe that was Rob Chestnut, passing Rob Chestnut. That turn right there, I don't know what turn number that is on this particular configuration, but that seems to be giving people fits. That's where we saw, I think, Kyle McCormick earlier hitting the wall there. Seems like a real tough.
That's 6, 7, 8 complex. And it looks like Andy Au, our leader, is now diving into the pits for his second pit stop. Oh, he's hit a wall coming into the pit lane, but it looks like he's okay.
How long is an average pit stop?
So we have the times up there. It looks like about 42 to 43 seconds while you're down pit lane. So from the cones that mark pit lane entry to the cones that mark pit lane exit. Keep your eye there on the 77 car of Jake Ashe, because he is 36 seconds and counting. So
And he's just coming around the last turn now and onto the front straight.
It's
Going to be close, and Andy Au is now leaving.
Wow, that was real
That was
quick.
a fast stop for Andy.
Well, he didn't have to fuel up all the way, right?
Right.
Correct. Yeah. So the longer that you run, exactly right. Yeah. For those of you who are maybe one of your first watches as friends and family don't do iRacing, it makes sense when you think about it. You run longer, you have less. You only have 4 minutes left in the race. You don't need to fill up as much as like Jake did, for example, who pit, with 23 minutes remaining. So there's risk and reward to those undercut strategies.
Yeah, the other thing is, on undercut, you actually have to be a little more conservative on your second stop. I think I did an undercut at Suzuka last week, and it helped me in the second stint.
Wait, what is that? What's an under?
That's an attempt to gain time by taking an earlier first pit stop.
Oh.
And the problem with that then is your second pit stop, the amount of fuel you take matters a lot more. And so you end up having to pad a little bit more. When these cars are following closely with each other, they use less fuel because you're pushing less air. And so all sorts of things can happen. And typically earlier in the race, you're in more traffic. And so you are oftentimes more fuel efficient early in the race than you are late in the race when you're kind of plowing through the air yourself. But it does look like Andy Au came out better, maybe with a 3 advantage.
Yeah, so, ultimately ended up gaining 3 seconds there. Up to Jake now. Not a lot of time left, though, unfortunately for Jake. Fortunately for Andy, with 2.5 minutes remaining in the race, or thereabouts. To your point, so, I guess circling back to the timed race issue, it's not like F1, it's not like NASCAR, it's not like anything really that I ever watched, to be honest with you. You may end up with a lap extra than what you were maybe counting on. So, and to the commentators' points on Twitch and YouTube, It kind of depends on the lap time. These are slower lap times because the track is hotter. It's a little bit looser,
Yep.
and that could mess with your preconceived calculations going into the race. You may have a good idea of what you want, but if you're a couple seconds a lap slower every lap, that could add up and
Yeah.
ultimately mess with your calculations. So
Yeah, it's shorter lap times, it's easier to have an off by one error on the number of laps. And
yep.
so this battle for P3 between Rusty Pontenberg, Alan Paris, and Kyle McCormick this is pretty epic. They have just
Yeah.
not let go of each other for the entire race. It's pretty amazing.
We're right along board here with Kyle as he. There we go, dashboard. You guys get a sense of the track and the speeds that they're traveling. Really, the closest battle, other than 10th place, which is Rob West and Chris Daniel. That is also another really great battle that's going on there, just behind them. Check in with them here in just a few minutes. And well, actually, no, we don't have a few minutes. We have 1 minute
Yeah,
remaining.
it's RP, Andy Au, the race leaders coming across our finish line, so I believe that this should be the last lap.
White flag lap coming in here, and that's what we got. So we will checking real quick with Rob West, trying to get that top 10 finish. That's always what you think. Okay, well, 10th or 11th. No, that top 10 finish is something that you're gonna want. It just good. It looks good on the stats. It looks good. It feels good to. And there, that's
Kyle
that turn.
McCormick is coming in, making T2 and T1. There's desperation on this last lap.
Is the track narrower than usual, or is it normal? It's very little room to get around.
That's a good question. This is actually an FIA, which is the sanctioning body for Formula One. It's an FIA grade track, meaning it's graded at the most elite level of
So it's
racetracks. Well, no, it has narrow parts, has wide parts, and so I guess the thing to say is that this is as professional as any racetrack you could find in the world, and it's German. On top of that,
100%. Andy Au is going to be your race winner. Jake Ashe coming across in second place. About 20 seconds back, Rusty Ponberg fighting for that final podium spot with Alan Paris. And it looks like one final turn is... Oh, yeah, I don't know that that draft is going to be strong enough. Nope.
Yep.
But really great racing there from those fellas. With Kyle McCormick, Barry Stockdale. Here's Rich Butler coming in 7th place comfortably. Rob Chestnut just behind him in 8th. About 13 seconds back to Michael Schmidt in the Impressionism. I don't know what is that.
You gotta love the colors.
That's impressive. Oh, look at that, Chris Daniel in the 8 car, and Rob West in the 2. Looks like Phil Erikellian and Carter Stickney are out, so that's going to be all road. Well, Janet, what do you think?
Very exciting. More strategy than I expected.
It's almost like racers are smart or something.
Well, that's not. We won't go that far.
Maybe.
We like to think so, I guess. But. Well, congratulations to Andy Au. Number 1 there, winning handily by 5 seconds over Jake Ashe, who raced a great race. Let's be honest. He tried the different fuel strategy, did not work out for him, but nets himself a second place with Rusty Ponberg finishing out your podium in P3, and you can see the rest of the standings there.
Well, I can't say enough good things about the whole field, but especially the top 5. I mean, Andy Au and Jake, wow. They were the class of the field. And then Rusty, Alan, and Kyle to battle for 35 straight minutes like that. Wow, that's also super impressive.
Yeah, we got the fans back in the stands, by the way. I didn't realize that I had done that, to be honest with you, but we let them back in. I think they're all vaccinated. So yeah, we do have a comment there. Now show Janet a 1100 IR rating cup race. This is
She'll get to see that this week.
Yeah.
there you go, there you go. Yeah, so yeah, that's that again. Maybe a little esoteric there, but this to everybody's point, this is probably about as good a competition as you're going to see in the Skip Barber, and I think that speaks volumes of the drivers who come out here every week, practice together, and just have a real comfort around each other. So always put on a good show. We always appreciate these guys for yeah, putting in all the effort and letting us watch. So. Any final thoughts from you, Janet, and especially for your daughter, who's probably going to get hooked on a very expensive hobby here shortly?
Yeah, I think she will, but I'm all for it. It looks like good, fun, very exciting, nice competition, and a great community. So I'm all for it, and
Outstanding.
I think she's gonna love it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. It's that adrenaline, it's the competitive edge, it's the math, it's the physics, it's just got a little bit of everything for people who really appreciate it. So it'll be honest. Really hope we see her here sooner than later here in not only Skippy Formula 2 but Skippy Formula 1, which we'll see here coming up here in just a few minutes. Uh, Peter, any final thoughts before you're not going to be racing, correct?
No, I could have planned this week better, but I spent all week really focusing on Formula V and GT4 and had fun in those races, and then the rest of my time with family. And so I am not safe to be on track with 45 other racers on this track, and so I'll be taking this week's SF1 off. But looking forward to next week. And Chris, just wanted to thank you and the Cavalcade Racing Network so much for welcoming my sister Janet onto the broadcast.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, 100%, absolutely. And we actually, so my cup teammate here, Brandon, is mentioning, if she ever gets interested, if anybody's ever interested in oval racing, we can hook her up with a fantastic league in the same vein, races Sunday mornings, and we can teach her the finer points of racing bumper to bumper with the Cup Series cars. So you just let us know, and we'll get her in there.
That's
Okay.
a great idea. Yeah.
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, appreciate y'all. We will take a quick break and reset while we load into the Skip a Formula 1 session. Thanks again, Janet. Thanks again, Peter, for joining us tonight. Really appreciate the perspective, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Um, enjoy the vacation. We will see the rest of you back here in, I don't know, probably about 15-20 minutes, and finish out the evening at Hockenheim Ring, Germany. Welcome back, race fans. We are here at Hockenheim Ring. Once again, Skippy Formula 2 just ended, and it was a great race indeed, but we are ready for Skippy Formula 1 as the drivers are receiving their briefing. We have 35 drivers ready to take the green flag here on the short A configuration of the track, 1.6 miles in length. Joining me tonight is Jake Ashe, who finished on the podium P2 in the earlier race. Jake, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Ah, man, so good. That was a great race, man. It was good to see your undercut strategy. I want to talk to you about that a little bit further in just a little bit. But also joining us is Jason Bice. Welcome back to the broadcast booth. So great to see you.
Yeah, how's it going?
It's going, man. It is going. I think that if the first race was any indication, we are in for a treat here with adding about 30 times the amount of drivers to the grid. The one part of the course that I was not anticipating giving people fits, I guess it's I don't know if it's 5 and 6 or 6 and 7 turn complex there right before the end. But we saw quite a bit of drivers either taking the curb or getting into the wall. I don't know if that's what was expected, but I guess we'll go with Jake first. What do you expect to see here tonight based on your experience from the earlier race?
I think that the more speed that people can carry through there, the better. But it's really tricky because of the way that the curves are set up. Basically, you ignore the first one going into the second one. I would just had to blip my downshift to make sure I didn't lose my back end, and just as fast as I could get on throttle I could. And I think that was the trick to getting through there.
Interesting. And Jason, anything to add to that?
No, I'm going to keep it classy and admit that I've not even seen the track map, let alone put a car on it. So I'm not going to speak to any corner anywhere.
There you go. There you go. Well, we got a great, you can see the field here. And anytime you got, the likes of Carl Dronke and Joshua Dancy in 19th and 22nd here, it's going to be an interesting 19. Yeah, in fact, Team Shake and Bake as a whole, they're going to be starting right next to each other about mid-field. Jason. I guess Jason Bice is not going to be starting 34th, but either way, I guess we're going to have 34 drivers here. My bad. And Jeffrey Decker, congratulations on the pole position. Another one for him with Mike Bowers starting outside pole. Chris Herrera and Gurkan Demir are going to be the second row there. So when you look through this, I'm sure the folks at home who've been watching Sunday Night Skippy for a while, maybe some surprises that you see there throughout the field with drivers on the starting grid.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that Edwin Viorino lost connection during qualifying, so he did not get a full 4 laps in, I think.
Oh, no.
So he'll be fun to watch coming through the field. Something I can definitely, sympathize with. My iRacing crashed on me between qualifying and practice, so I only had 4 minutes to put in laps, which is why I started 8th.
There you go.
But
well, you did. I mean, shoot, man, you did so. Yeah, while we chat about this here, as the drivers take the grid, talk to us about kind of your big takeaway from the race. You did the undercut, which we even said it on the broadcast. Like, yeah, if anybody's gonna do pit in first, it's gonna be Jake. That worked. It seemed to work out for you. You had a second there on Andy for just a little bit, and just couldn't make it work there at the end.
Because of the crash, I was running blind. I wasn't running with JRT, and so I was on my own reconnaissance for fuel strat. So I sputtered into the pits on the second stop, and in fact, I sputtered through the last 2 turns because I stopped 1 lap early. Yep. So that was where all my time, disappeared when it let Andy get away.
Well, the lights are out, and you can see here all the 34 Skip Barber Formula 2000s making their way through turn 1, and quite a view here for those of you who have not seen this before. But all these drivers on cold tires, like we've talked about, just a little bit more difficult to handle the vehicle, and just a little less compliant with what you would hope be, but so far so good. I'm not seeing any reports of incidents or off tracks or crashes, so all these drivers giving each other plenty of room. as we make our way around the first lap. And looks like we've single filed out pretty well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything go awry, and right now I'm kind of glued to Carl and Edwin, so I don't know if Carl maybe had a qualifying issue as well, but he and Edwin may be able to partner as they climb their way through the crowd here.
Yeah, very interesting. They do seem to be hooked up with currently Spencer Clark. Oh, Gurkin Demir entered pit lane. Was he maybe serving a penalty?
I think so.
He had a drive-through tonight.
Excellent. All right, so there you go. That makes it less confusing, but there you go. Gurkin Demir with a great qualifying effort, but still going to have to make it work there as they go 3 wide. We're riding along board there with Carl Dronke as they go past Jack Moffitt in that Iron Cat paint scheme. Look at that wheel-to-wheel action with Spencer Clark. They're almost 3 wide again.
And Carl's doing a great job just staying attached to Edwin. So Edwin is clearing the path and Carl's hanging on.
Yeah, leaving nothing to chance there. Carl's just going to make his way past to try to maintain that gearbox there of Edwin. Team Bell checking in. Thanks for joining us, Sarah. We will check in here with Scott shortly. I did not see him. He's up 2 spots overall right now in that 5 car with great paint scheme. Always love that. Got Peter Nodwell ahead of him. Great competition there, and looks like things are working out overall so well for Team Bell.
Yeah, it looks
Butler.
like we have. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I may have clicked on the wrong thing there. Rich Butler, Jason Berkheimer. Oh, Rich is gonna spin, and yeah, there's just nowhere for Jason Berkheimer there to go. So not huge, but that's gonna send one of those guys back just a little bit.
Gosh, I'm looking at the qualifying time, and so we had Decker on pole with a 109.4, and the very last place we had a 110.6. So just over a second splitting the field, which is just insane.
Tracks, which, by the way, reminds me that we have not brought up literally any of the information, and nobody's calling me out on it there on YouTube or Twitch, so good on you guys. Let's bring up our timing tower, our track map, some metal boxes, and get everybody back into the show here. Yep, there we go. Jeffrey Decker tentatively holding onto this lead. Mike Bowers is right there, as you can see. Let's take a look back from Decker's gearbox. You can just get a real good sense for, and we left those up from the last race there. Apologies. You can get a real sense for just how close these drivers are racing against one another.
Yeah, and I'm watching Carl and Edwin, and they've made it 4 spots up, which is great. But we talk a lot about how far everybody in the league has come. If this was a year ago, Edwin and Carl would be, 2/3 of the way up through the pack at this point.
Yeah.
And now everybody keeping them really honest.
And I am being reminded, so I did miss it before Team Bell checked in. I did get called out for the timing tower and all that. I do apologize. To be fair, I was called on it. Completely missed it. So thank you guys for keeping me honest out there. Chris Herrera currently sitting in 3rd. He is up. Nope. 1, 2, and 3 are all the same. David Pena is up 2 spots. That's who I was looking at. And so he's hanging on tight there to Chris Herrera's gearbox. Michael Howard.
Good to see him back. He was out for a while, so it's really good to see him back with the league.
Hopefully running on empty is out there, tuning in once again. Chris Herrera just not missing a beat, and currently sitting in a podium spot and making it look easy. Got a comment there, Jonathan Dockery. Watch out for him. He's found new speed. He's currently sitting. Let's look at his gearbox there. Nice royal purple paint scheme there. Just really feeling himself today. Currently sitting in 11th spot after finishing 10th. And in great company there. Peter Nodwell ahead of him. Ray Bartnikowski behind him. And hoping good things for Jonathan Dockery tonight.
Yeah, Dockery at one point was running in our Skippy Formula 2 League as well as Ray Bartanowski, and now Ray is sitting in 12th, up 3 positions. We have John sitting at P11 after qualifying 10th, so it's great to see that.
Well, don't look
Absolutely.
now, but there's sorry, Jake, go ahead.
Just gonna say it's great watching these guys move through the field, and they're starting to form up these packs. We got, it's not a huge draft track, but the draft, staying in the draft definitely gets you an advantage. And so we're watching these guys form packs, and watching Adam Wright, leading this group of 6, 7, 8 cars, and all just within, under a blanket, like you say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam, he's found some speed here as of late himself. He is currently up 3 positions overall. One of the biggest gainers outside of the aforementioned Edwin Bairino and Carl Dronke, who were back here in that Ray Bartnikowski pack, trying to find their way through. Carl's still glued to Edwin's gearbox, and it looks like they kind of stagnated here behind Ray and Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, they've butted up against a pack that really has pace, and it's going to be really tough getting through there. I get to race Ray Saturday mornings in our new V Series, and he is not to be trifled with, not to be underestimated.
Yeah, and it's not an easy track to pass on either. Even if you have pace on the guy in front of you, figuring out where to put the move to make it stick is challenging here.
Yeah.
There's only turn 1, and then sometimes you can get it up here in turn 6, and sometimes the next complex after that, but that's about it.
Yeah, again, I haven't had eyes on this track this week, but just having watched a few laps now, it definitely strikes me as a layout where you really need to rely on somebody making a mistake or trying to induce a mistake as your main strategy, and that's always, the latter is always a very fine line to walk.
Absolutely.
We're riding along here with Carl Dronke in the 38 car. He and Edwin both up 5 positions as they try to work their way back up after what we presume to be a less than anticipated qualifying effort, whether it be connection issues or otherwise. But,
we have Ray going for a pass on John going into turn 1. Ray got a great exit and just can't stick it.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
And look at Carl making a move. So
yeah.
Carl's going to be like, you know what? Let me take
and they
the
can
lead
afford to
for a
fight
little bit.
here. Yeah, they can afford to fight with this line in front of them. They can dice it up a little bit and figure out who's going to lead the charge, because there's just nowhere to go. John really held his line well going into turn 1 and really didn't leave Ray with a whole lot to work with. Ray did get a really good exit out of the final turn, but just short of being able to secure the position. So they're going to take another stab at it here. We'll see if Ray really focuses on getting out of that final turn, because that's really going to be the trick to taking that spot down the front straight.
So Jake, talk to us a little bit about the undercut strategy, because if we've said it once, we've said it 100 times. You are the king of it, whether you want to be called that or not. What are the pros and cons of being one of the first people to come in and take your first of 2 pit stops, or first of 1, I guess?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it was 2, but yeah, the biggest pro is getting out of traffic, and that's why I do it, because it gets me, on my own, out of traffic. I can make up pace without having to worry about fighting with anybody, and that's the main reason I do it when I do it. And then the biggest con, though, is you've got to run that second tank until it quits, basically, unless you run it a little bit longer before you go in. So we're going to start seeing folks. I mean, the pit window here is pretty big because it's such a short track. We're probably going to see several pit strategies when it comes to it.
And John slamming the door shut on his teacher, Carl. So Carl's going for the move, and we have Ray and John duking it out. That presented an opportunity for Carl, and John saying, "No, sir, not right there." But yeah, Carl's been working with John quite a bit over the last few weeks, and I think that's definitely showing in John's pace. And and his patience. He's really picking his spots, it seems. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jake, but yeah, I saw there was a move taking place. So
action beats strategy.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, look at Carl there making the move on Ray, or at least attempted to. Boy.
Yeah, he's gonna hold it. Yep.
Yeah.
He's. See if Ray tucks in. Nope, he's gonna.
Yeah, that's the preferred line through that turn. So that's interesting
Yeah.
too. You know, something we talk about that we have talked about. There was actually a comment about, you know, not getting the tunnel vision. Ooh, Ray really had to bail out of that one right there to avoid making contact. So probably not.
That's what we call elbows out by Carl
yeah,
there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, Carl had an opportunity to put a car between he and Edwin. Oops. Went a little too far back there, but that slowdown there caused by Ray having to lift so bad, it looks like Edwin may be able to make the move here pretty easy, as he's got the preferred line once again. Yeah, Ray's gonna. So anyway, that works. So we talked about, you know, kind of getting tunnel vision on the line ahead and not keeping your eyes moving forward and looking at the next turn and you know, keeping your eyes out forward on the track, but you can see how easy it is to get just tunnel vision on the car in front of you, the turn in front of you. It's a learned skill. It's a learned habit to be riding inches away from another driver, even virtually, and make that work.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to take everything in that you see in front of you, and you know, these guys, everybody in the league, when you see yourself gaining on the car in front of you, you taste blood in the water, and you've got to find a way to temper that a bit. And you know, again, speaking to Carl and him working with John, I know he's also worked with Ian. That's one of the things that he really preaches is, you know, just because you can pass or just because you can challenge a position right now doesn't necessarily mean that you should. Try to look at the bigger picture. And I know that's what's been going through John's mind this week, as he's been doing a lot of officials, and he's found a lot of success in those. And that's something that Carl has preached to both him and to Ian. And you know, he and I talk every now and then about, you know, our own strategies, and that comes up really frequently. Just you've got to pick your spots, and it's tough when you see blood in the water.
Well, as speaking of taking your shots here, Scott Bell up to P7 after having passed Adam Wright with Lyndon McMurphy there in close proximity. Carl Dronke now taking over the rightful spot as the the instructor, I suppose you can put it that way. Make the move there on Jonathan Dockery. Edwin Viorino still separated, but Ray Bartnikowski able to hold on to Edwin's gearbox there, at least momentarily. Down throughout the field, we've still got some other great racing. We were focused on these guys a little bit earlier, but Aaron Law leading Brian Perez and Matt Shepka. This has been a great race that we have not focused on these guys nearly enough, but a lot of respect here between these drivers, and really just kind of making it work. I haven't seen much jockeying for position. Just kind of making it happen. Kyle McCormick, I'm getting word that he crashed. Jonathan Dockery in the pits. Okay, so there you go. Jonathan Dockery going to be the first into pit road there at 14 minutes and about 20 seconds. Let's look at Kyle McCormick here.
Yeah.
Let's see what happened on the crash. Oh, got a little bit of help there, it looks like. Although not a ton of damage. He'll be able to repair that with a fast repair, but no real damage at all. Just kind of, I don't even know if he got. Yeah.
I'm looking at his car. It looks okay from where I'm sitting.
So Sean Trediak, we got a comment there about Sean Trediak making moves. He's up a spot right now. Kyle Reed just behind him. Kyle Reed's got pace, man. Sean Trediak really feeling himself tonight.
Here's the thing, they all do. I mean, it's just, it's so hard to single any one person out as improving, because you bring up any name, and you mentioned Sean Trediak. He has found a ton of pace over the last several seasons. You know, you can't underestimate any of these guys. It's what makes these races so good.
Absolutely. And even SF2, it used to be that SF2 the pace was a little bit off of SF1, but I mean, these days the lap times are just almost identical.
It seems more dependent on track state and temperature than
absolutely.
actual pace.
Yeah.
And so Kyle has come into pits now, and I imagine getting his fast repair as well as fuel.
Yeah, you can see there. You know what? Actually, we do have the pit stop game afoot. So let's bring up pit stops. Everybody can see who has pit, who has not. But this is actually, we were looking at Aaron Law and Brian Perez, Matt Shepka, but this is Sean Trediak and Kyle Reid who are joining this group. And, oh boy, Sean Trediak dives in. Matt Shepka does not. Same with Kyle Reid. There's not, that would look like a little bit of miscommunication there out on the track. Chris Herrera is going to end up leading the race right now over Michael Hockenheim. Neither of these guys have pit. So obviously, clearly, these guys are going to need to come back, down pit road. But this is really the race for the lead right now, depending on where Decker comes out. Decker? Hold up. Yeah, Decker. And Bowers.
So what you mentioned,
they are right there. 0.9.
Well, you mentioned Chris taking over the lead there. One of the things that I want to throw out there, there's been discussion over the past week or two about reverting back to our original bonus point system. So for all of the drivers who are watching this broadcast later, please chime in with your thoughts on that. The idea is we really want to incentivize having people challenge at the front of the pack. We've noticed that as we've reverted out of that system, we've seen some old behaviors pop back up. A lot of very aggressive fuel saving as opposed to actual racing at the front. So,
yep, agreed. There's Herrera et al. On pit road as we tune in here on Jeffrey Decker crossing the start-finish line right now, and Carl's away.
Yep, Carl's coming out.
Really taking his time. Did he get a speeding penalty?
He may have. Yep, looks like maybe.
So we have Ray and Bell and Carl all coming out right in a bunch.
Yeah, that's going to cost Chris a lot.
Oof. So this is now the race for the lead. Decker, Bowers, they got a good solid 3 seconds over Hockenheim. Yeah, we got a bot commenting on Twitch about becoming famous. I do not want to become famous. That sounds terrible.
Absolutely.
I gotta figure it out. But anyway,
there's a report function too. Feel free.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna. A little further up here, look at this. Scott Bell and Carl Dronke, Ray Bartnikowski. Whoa. Yeah, he's going to have the Carl Dronke. I would give the advantage to him here coming through the last two turns before the next lap.
I've watched him race a number of people on multiple lines throughout the lap, and I've seen him make some pretty impressive overtakes. He's up 11 positions. Now, some of that obviously is pitting, but he's run every line through every corner at this point, and he's stuck all of them.
Another great battle here. We haven't talked about JR Hoops much, but Gurkan Demir, who had to serve a penalty, qualified really well. Worked his way, and just ahead of them, Sean Trediak, Brian Perez. These guys were involved earlier.
Kyle let me through.
Woo! Whoa! These guys are really exploring the space. Holy crap.
Kyle is definitely putting hard into the hard charger, for sure.
Yeah, Kyle wants all of that award. They're up 17 spots right now, and
that's always been his thing. He loves to start in the back and just claw his way up. He does that in the pubs all the time, and he's got a real talent for it.
Yep. He's taking with the track where I said it's hard to pass and making me seem like I didn't know what I was talking about.
Well, he is definitely making the most, and yeah, 17 spots not good enough. As you can see just behind them, Sean Trediak and Gurkin Amir go inside. Ooh, Ray's gonna lock it up there. Holy cow. We got a comment. Have you heard the rumor that Wright is using auto blip? Jason, do you believe that?
He said it earlier. The time penalty for auto blip isn't all that harsh. Not something that I would choose to do, but you know, like you said earlier, Adam has found a lot of pace, and you know, he's making that auto blip work. So he qualified 9th and is currently sitting 6th. So.
Well, oh my gosh, this is such close racing, but it looks like Dockery, Virino both jumped to pits. So I don't see anything for Dockery, but I see something for Edwin. We're going to jump here real quick to see what happened to Edwin. Coming out of pit road.
Oh.
And he and Dockery made contact. So that'll be one for the stewards for sure. But they both jumped to pit road. That's going to probably end the hopes dashed.
Yeah, I just saw that
nice.
Dockery has retired, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a tough pit road exit. So you know, we'll let the stewards. Oh, somebody stops by the blue cone.
Was that Richard Butler? No. Who was that?
And we have Dockery reconnecting.
I wonder if there was a network trouble, because we saw Edwin lose connection during qualifying.
Yeah.
I wonder if something happened with the network there. The perils of racing on the internet.
Yep.
Yeah, man. All right, so Jason Berkheimer, Benjamin Harris both crashed. Dockery coming back out. This is right now the closest battle up front. David Pena and Michael Howanek. A little bit further back, Adam Wright and Lyndall McMurphy. You can see. And remind me, this is a one-stop race. Two-stop race?
2 stops.
Two-stop race.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna leave.
2 stops.
We'll leave that up. We're not covering the entire screen yet, so we'll just leave the pit stop information. It can get a little ridiculous. I get that, but hey, you know what? The 2 pit stops now are not even going to be accurate. So we'll close that up. Look at this, inches away from each other. David Pena, Michael Howanek, really going at each other here. Look at that.
Yep. They better keep their eye out for Adam Wright, who's closing, and Michael McLeod, who's up a couple of spots. He's having a better night than he usually does in traffic. That's good to see.
Yeah, let's look at the total gain for everybody, so everybody can see. Obviously, Reed, the biggest gainer there at 18 spots, up to 17th right now.
Harlan McCarty with 14, it looks like.
14, not bad, man. Not bad.
Aaron
Tom
Law,
Drunke
13.
Up 11.
Yeah.
A lot of movers and shakers.
Aaron Law, yeah. Good call.
Wow, we also lost Benjamin Harris and Edwin to voluntary retirements.
Hold up. Chris Herrera crashed.
Uh-oh.
And he was already having a bad night at that pit
He's
stop.
racing the 11 car.
Rusty?
Oh.
Yep, Rusty Pondberg, and it looks like just enough
Not
wheel
a real
contact
crash,
there.
yeah.
You know, I'll just throw this out there. Wheel contact. The V is a little more forgiving. I'm just information only.
Not implying anything. Just
No, not at all.
not implying.
But while we're talking about the V, I want to let everybody know that we have a Saturday morning series for the V. 10 a.m. practice Eastern time, and then about 10 minutes after 11, we do qualifying with 2 20-minute heats. And we've been having a very good time with those. Very low-key. Good competition, but definitely not as cutthroat as SF1.
Oh, sorry. Who was that?
That was
Lyndon
Lyndon
McMurphy. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Carl was putting on the pressure and
Took
he
a
couldn't handle it. Yep.
hard left. Yeah. So the V Series, obviously not in direct competition with the Sunday Night Skippy.
No, we have several guys running both. I don't know how, because I can't do it.
I can't do it either, yeah. If I drive the V, I cannot drive the Skippy. And
Right.
It breaks my brain.
Exactly. And then while I'm trying to figure out the Skippy, I go back to the V, and then I can't drive the V either. So I've got to pick one.
Yep. And I've already chosen the Skippy this season. Otherwise, I would help out with some numbers.
But it's been a great series so far. Really great racing. I tune in. Ian Whirl, actually not part of the Cav network, but Ian Whirl on his own channel
Barefoot
broadcasts
Racing.
it.
Yeah.
And I tune in. I love to tune in. And you guys always put on a show. It's a great little car. It's a great race series. You know, probably 10 to 15 per grid right now, which is real nice. But you know, hopefully more as we get the word out. I mean,
not a lot. Our goal's 20. Yeah, the goal's 20
well, there you
because
go. So you're almost there. It's you don't want 40 Vs.
Right. The V runs on really oddball track configurations, which is a great thing in my book. We get to run track configs that you don't get to run in any other car.
Sure.
And because it's such a small car as well, 3 wide through just about any corner is totally feasible. You know, that's a game of chicken in most cars, but in the V, that's just lap 3. So it's a blast.
100%. And the USF 2000 series on Thursday nights is another one that we're currently hosting, and it's had pretty good turnout, somewhere between 10, 15, sometimes 20, depending on the track. So if you're interested in that road to Indy, maybe a little higher downforce vehicles, 2 ovals per season if that's your thing, but otherwise 2 is not a huge number. Turn you away, and it's a great little car. That is also at the moment broadcast by Cav Racing. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. And you can see that the competition is fierce, and there's a lot of good destruction going on, and we hope to kind of pump that one up and boost it up just a little bit, because it's a great car, and it deserves better than D. And I get why they put it in D class in public races. It makes sense, but just like the ARC car for me, it deserves better than that from a competition standpoint.
It's a lot of car to handle. You don't think of it that way because it's the slowest high downforce open wheeler that we have, but it's got some nuance to it that is a lot to ask of somebody who might have just come out of rookies. Nothing against people who've just come out of rookies, but it's that car can be a puzzle. So
battle for second position is heating up here with David Pena, Michael Hockenheim. With 29 minutes into the race, we got one more pit stop coming up for all of the drivers. Hey, look at that. We got 100 messages today with Restream. So there you go. Thanks everybody for checking in. And Pith 151 gets the award for 100 messages today. But there you go. Look at that. Here's Michael and Hockenheim and David Pena. This is the battle for E2 here on the podium. Another solid 2.8 seconds back to Mike Bowers.
I'd love to see them work together and catch Jeff up there. It's doable. So
what is that? So for you guys, Jake, Jason, at what point do you? Because when I watch these races, and I get it because it's the same thing when I race. You gotta at some point say, okay, we're gonna work together. Let's work together. But you don't always see that. And
yeah,
then at some point it makes sense, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like that's very subjective. Like, at what point it doesn't make sense to work together anymore, and then, okay, this is for position. So, like,
I'm always eager to work with somebody until near the end of the race. Basically the gap in front of me, if I feel that we can reasonably close that with the time that we have to work with, I'm extremely eager to do that, because as much fun as it is to race, it doesn't just slow you down, but every time you compete with somebody through a corner, there's risk. And X number of times out of 100, both of you are going to lose that dice roll, and it's going to end your race. So you want to close that gap. You don't want to fight unless there's a reason to. At least in my opinion, that's how I run my race. And but if we only had 2 laps to go, maybe even 3, it'd be pretty obvious that we're not going to catch Jeff if I'm David Pena, and I'm going to defend as hard as I can. So.
Yeah, and I don't get a lot of opportunity to make that choice yet. I haven't found myself in that situation a lot. I feel like I'm almost always fighting. Maybe that's my fault. So I'm always looking for the opportunity, but I haven't ever been able to figure it out within a race to find someone to work with. But I've always got the idea that I would like to, but like
that's true. Well, I mean, by definition, I do feel like your strategy is I want to remove myself from that.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
That risk that Jason's talking about, I'm very risk averse, and so if you're tires going into a corner, the better for me.
Yeah, and it's very fun because first of all, it's very satisfying to work with somebody and actually accomplish that goal. I'll never forget a race that Carl and I had where we spent the better half of a race hunting down Edwin at Watkins Glen, and it was just beautifully choreographed, and then it was time to call it. It just takes one of you to decide that it's time to race, and the other guy doesn't get the call until there's a nose in here or a hard defend there, and you're like, oh, I guess we're racing now. And
race time.
Yeah, it's always fun to see how that's going to play out. It's fun when you're waiting on the other guy to make that call because that's the position that he's in, or it's you're in the position to make that call. It's a bit of a prisoner's dilemma situation there, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. But watching David and Michael here, it's difficult to say what exactly is happening. There hasn't been a position swap, and I don't know necessarily if that's because Michael doesn't quite have the pace to get that position back, or maybe David just isn't ready to play ball. It's hard to say.
I kind of wonder if Michael's saving fuel.
Yeah, that's also a great possibility because he could beat them both in the pits by doing that.
I've seen him get a couple of runs and then back out.
Yeah.
So that says to me that he may be saving some fuel and just riding that draft for the aerodynamic factor.
Yep.
And
well, speaking of fuel,
I love that idea. Yep.
We've got takers down pit road.
Michael ducked in.
McLeod, Nodwell, Clark. So once again, strategy game is afoot. Let's bring up the pit lane time because I think that's an important stat. Everybody wrap their head around. Actually, you know what? Let's do. So there we go. Yep. So we can track. Obviously, the time there is for the last pit stop. So the first. If they have 1, that was for their last one. If they have 2. That was for the second pit stop. Right now, Decker 39.4. You can see McLeod at a 39.1, and Bowers with a 41.5. So a little bit longer there. Bowers losing just a touch of time.
Speaking of, we have McLeod trying to hold Bowers off as we speak.
Look at that.
Battle of the mics.
The North American battle here. Got that maple leaf stuck to the nose cone. All right, so the timing tower is going to get a little busy, but you can see who has made 2 pit stops, which is most everybody now except for Carl and Matt Shepka. And that's gonna be it. Actually, yeah, let's collapse that down. I think maybe some of those 2 pit stops, but might be damage related, but those are going to be further down. So for the most part, we can just trust that Carl and Matt at the 1 and 2 positions there are going to be the last to pit, and we'll see how that works out as Carl comes down pit road.
Scott Bell been in yet?
I believe so. I'm showing Scott Bell with 2 pit stops. Last pit was lap 29.
So yeah, he's running 4th now, and let's see where they come out relative to him.
There you go. 9 minutes remaining in the race. So
Yeah,
we really are taking
pit
down
stop
here.
then. Yeah.
And look at that. Jeffrey Decker had a pretty good, sizable advantage. I don't remember exactly, but David Pena and Michael Howenick in contact.
Yeah, that clean air, when you've got guys behind you that can run in the draft and you're trying to lead the race in clean air, it is brutal. And you're doomed. It's not a fun feeling.
Yikes. So this is actually fantastic. We've got 1, 2, 3, and then about 6.8 seconds back. So this is the podium, all under a blanket right here. And let's see what they decide to do to our earlier conversation about working together to get toward the end. Actually, now it's the gap is even increasing further, but at what point do these guys decide that, what? Okay, podium spot, great.
Well, the math that they're all doing at this point is, what position do I want to be in on the last lap? That's what they're all trying to figure out.
What position would you want to be in?
Well, I don't know the track, so I'm hesitant to answer. But having run other configs of this, I love Hockenheim. I can get through on the inside of the final turn pretty well. So I would want to be able to set up for that, because there are a couple lines going into and out of that corner and the corner or two before it that are all viable if you've got the guts to do it, and if you practice those lines. And I saw Carl did it a few times earlier in this race. Jeffrey and company are going through there as we speak. And I've raced Jeffrey through these corners on another track config, and that inside line sealed the deal for me. So that's probably where I'd want to be. Which makes you wonder, is this really the best spot for Jeff to be in at the moment? Maybe, maybe not, because the alternative is, you could very quickly find yourself at the end of this chain, and that's not a fun spot to be in. If I could pick my position, I'd probably take David's. But with these guys, with the time that we have left, there's so much that can happen.
David's not happy with second. He wants to get ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe David disagrees with you, but some of that could... Oh, boy, look at that.
They're being traffic.
Rusty just kind of pulling off there. He's like, all right, boys. I'm not trying to get in the way. Jake, what are your thoughts going to this? As somebody who pits earlier, I'm looking at Jeffrey Decker having pit on 28 versus these guys, the other 2 guys who pit on lap 29, which isn't a huge difference, but
yeah, not huge.
Is there some fuel savings that might come into play? I mean, I don't know. Their pit. I don't know that that's the case here, because their pit times were relatively close, so maybe not, but.
Yeah, I'd have to see their pit times. I don't have that in front of me, but I imagine that it balls to the wall.
David really putting his nose in. So Jeffrey making that right, and that goes back to our earlier conversation about trying to force an error. So that's typically not something that, in my experience, that Jeffrey's going to bite on. But you can't blame David for trying. Jeff has seen that before. So
contact.
Yeah.
Just seems to stay cool as a cucumber and just ride with it. So.
Yep.
Cost David a spot.
And that's the thing. I mean, if it's high risk. Oh no, Michael!
No!
and then there were two.
Yep. The excitement there of getting that spot, and got to watch out for everything going on, and a little bit lax of concentration. And I know it well.
So that's going to leave Jeffrey Decker, David Pena. You can see Chris Herrera diving back into the pits there. Mike Bowers.
Are we under white flag yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, we've probably got a couple more left. But Michael McLeod really not letting Mike Bowers rest there. I mean, Bowers got around him, but I think at this point, we talk about when do you make the call to fight, and we're there. We're there for P4.
Yeah. Yep.
100%. And
I mean, if you're Bowers, what you really want to have happen is Dronky close that gap and let the two of them fight.
Yeah, right.
Actually, I'm looking at the time. This should be the last lap now that I see where we are.
That's what I thought. Yeah, because we're at 45 minutes. Yeah.
I'm showing 41 minutes.
Oh, right. That's right. You got to count the race meeting.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep. Chris has got the better timer.
So we got...
Yeah.
I think we still got a few, but either way, Peter Nodwell, Adam Wright. Let's do a real quick here as we count down to the end of the race.
Oh no! And contact again.
But they managed to pull out. And
Yeah.
It's gonna let Michael catch back up a little bit.
David following very, very closely back there, and that's always risky. You want to stay close, but you've got to leave a little room for error.
Man, sorry, just doing the replay there. Pass for
Yeah.
the lead. All right, so there we go. David Pena currently in the lead. This would be his first Sunday Night Skippy victory. Jeffrey Decker in second, Michael Howenick in third, Mike Bowers in fourth, and Michael McLeod's going to round out your top five. Those guys have been battling for a while. Let's look at some of the battles throughout the field. We've got Adam Wright trying to chase down Peter Nodwell there for the 7th position. A little further back, Kyle Reed leading Aaron Law and Jack Moffitt. That's the battle for 11th position. Kyle Reed up 11 spots at the moment. And Gherkin Demir with Jeff Torbeck and Lyndall McMurphy. And Matt Shupka, actually. Look at that. All four of those guys relatively under a blanket. We got JR Hoops leading Sean Trediak there by 0.2 seconds. This is going to be a great battle for 18th position overall. Thor Tullo and Joshua Dancy. Joshua Dancy probably not having the night that he wanted, but Thor Tullo having a fantastic night, up 5 spots right now, and kind of feeling himself. And then everybody else kind of shuffles out. A couple guys who probably not the night that they wanted: Rich Butler, Jason Berkheimer, Benjamin Harris, Jonathan Dockery, Edwin Virino, Andrew Cole, Steve Dewar did not start.
Yeah, he qualified, but he didn't grid, I don't think.
Okay. All right, fair enough. All right, well, hey, look back up here. We've got 43 and a half minutes into this 45-minute race. David Pena
left,
under pressure. Jeffrey Decker is like, you know what? All right.
He can give it good as he gets.
That's how we're going to do this. Now, that's nothing against David Pena. I don't think that anything that happened there was intentional. That may be something for the stewards to decide, but certainly nothing real-time looked.
Yeah, in the moment, just looked like good, hard racing.
Right. Yeah, I don't mean to say anything bad about it. That's what I mean. There's the white flag as we start our final lap. Jeffrey Decker under all the pressure now to make that final pass on David Pena, who's leading the race.
I think that's where I want to be in this spot.
Yeah, I like where Jeff is at this moment. Is that those last sequence of turns? There are a few options that he's got, a few cards that he can play there. So,
and they race
what
on
David do.
Exactly, they race on this config just like they do on the longer one. And from this point forward, it's the same set of track. A little less speed in this corner, but once you get to the next one, it's just like, let's let it play.
I expect Jeff to come down. No, he didn't. Interesting.
Yeah, he's got no more DRS zones. Oh, he's gonna look at that. He's sneaking inside. Is he gonna try the over/under?
It's gonna be
These
tough.
are the last couple turns. This is all he's got.
David's running a great line through there. I mean, he really defended that well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna get
race.
it.
Nice.
Yeah. Congratulations to David Pena, Jeffrey Decker. Michael Howenick is going to lead your podium there. It looks like we got some smoke. I'm not sure what happened
Mike McLeod got in front of Mike Bowers.
Go over. Yeah. Holy crap. I don't know what happened there. We got Mike Bowers finishing the race backwards. I don't know what happened there. Adam Wright. Aaron Laws coming over next. Oh, what a great race to the finish there between Jack Moffin and...
Oh, it looks like Michael McLeod got into the back of Mike Bowers, so he turned Mike around.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's rough. But good on Mike for had his head about him and he went over backwards. But yeah, nose to tail in the last turn there.
Cal Reed ending up plus 24 in P11. That's amazing.
Yeah. No.
That was a run.
Doubt about that. All right. Well, holy cow, that was pretty intense for the last few laps there. I just want to go back here real quick and see that. Cloud and Bowers battling here for
25 cars on the lead lap on a track that's a minute and 10 seconds long. That's impressive.
Okay. Well, anyway, we'll keep this up in the background while we look at the race results. Congratulations once again to first-time race winner David Pena. We got Jeffrey Decker and Michael Howenick rounding out your podium. I believe that's Michael Howenick's first podium.
Yeah, it is.
So congratulations to him.
Relatively new, yeah.
Put on a clinic, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And we will scroll through the rest of the results here as we wait to see what the heck happened for P4. And in the meantime, we'll see if anybody's willing to come on up and talk to us in the broadcast booth here. Who the heck knows?
Yeah. Another special shout out to Scott Bell for doing P9. Top 10 finishes. Nothing to sneeze at.
Top 10 finish.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just, even having been out of the league just this season, it's just so neat to look at the standings and see the times collapsed and condensed the way they are, and you're seeing everybody's name in and out of the top 10, from one week to the next. The competition's insane.
I think we just saw what happened there to
Bowers and McLeod. Yeah.
That was funny. All right. Well, guys, while we wait for people to join or not join the interview standby booth, tell us what you thought about the race.
I'll just reiterate what I just said. The times, just the overall performances among everybody is so tight. You said yourself that we saw Dancy a little bit further down on the tower. Chris qualified really well, but found himself down there as well. And we saw some new names up in the top 5 and the top 10, and it just speaks to the level of competition in the league.
Absolutely, and the it's everyone is pushing everyone around them, and it's all going up the chart.
Yeah,
I mean the slowest driver out there is still really fast.
Yep.
And it's different every week, and it's somebody new, and we get you see it in the charts people post to their iRating when people join SNS, iRatings go up.
Yeah, there's always an inflection point.
Yep. Yep. I need to get down and do more public races myself to get my iRating going back up.
Yeah. Let's see. Jeffrey Decker you're going to join us, our first guest here in the broadcast booth. Put on a heck of a show there, and right at the end, now I'll let the other guys speak for themselves, but it looked like a great battle there with David Pena. It seemed like in a pretty good position going into the last lap, but you really were going to need to, I don't know, make some, like, really send it and make some moves stick in order to get that win. But talk to us about what you saw.
Yeah, no, it was a super fun battle. I thought after my first pit stop that I would actually be okay, because at the end of the second stint I had a decent gap, but I did the same thing in Sonoma as well. I overfueled by over a lap. I think for whatever reason, I kind of need to adjust that. It seems like maybe some of the shorter laps get tricky if it's right on the edge. So I think I spent like an extra second in the pits, maybe more than that. So it became a battle. I knew David was really, really quick. I was watching him all that second stint kind of slowly creep up, and I kind of thought like third stint is going to be a battle. And then when he got there, like it was nice, like tight, fun battle. I think we had a little bit of unfortunate contact. One time me like clipping a curb and kind of sliding out to him, and then in that like last corner complex, but I'm glad we were both able to make it out there alive and then continue it, because it was fun. It went down to the wire. I think I had my best chance the second to last lap when I kind of drew alongside him into Sachs corner, but I couldn't quite make it stick, and I thought, well, that's my only chance on the final lap, and he didn't quite make, he had a cleaner getaway towards that run, so I really couldn't establish overlap before he got into that corner, and kind of just had to give it to him. But it was a fun run to the line and a super fun battle. So overall, really, really just happy with how the race went.
Yeah, he really had. We were trying to predict how that was going to play out, and Jeff, you and I have actually gone through those sequence of turns a couple times at the end of races, and there's a number of different plays there, and he played it well. He had that on lockdown. So
give me just enough space on the outside where I thought, like, all right, maybe I'll have a sniff. But no, he positioned the car perfectly for that lap.
Yeah.
Those last two laps. So yeah, not really much I could do, but I'm glad I was kind of kissing his gearbox across the line, at least to make a point that I was there at the very least.
Yeah,
I was having a little bit of flashbacks with you, Jason. So
good races. Those were good races through there.
Yeah, no. All in all, just a fun race. Glad I could make this one for sure.
It looked like a really fun track. I think a lot of people probably slept on this, but I also agree that this is probably better in a league setting. I can't imagine what some of the public races were like this week, not having participated, but I can make educated guesses on that.
Yeah,
first lap was clean. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just gonna say I only got 2 pubs in because I got home on Friday night from a vacation. But the 2 I was in one was clean, and then the other one, people were just sending it left and right. So
not so much.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, congratulations on a great race. I mean, obviously, not the exact result that you wanted, but congratulations on the pole at any rate, and the fantastic race toward the end. Definitely put on a show for everybody. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
As always, my wife for just letting me do these races as often as I can, and as always to you guys for doing the broadcast. It makes it fantastic fun to watch after the fact.
Well, hopefully we did it justice, because that's the only thing that being both an iRacer and a person who sits up here and talks about iRacing, watching other people do it, sometimes it's just so hard to capture what it's like to be wheel to wheel, nose to gearbox with somebody. I got to imagine that was just an exciting race for both you and David Pena. And congratulations again. We will see you next week, I'm sure. All right, that's all I got.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Yeah, I'll be in the booth at some point soon.
Yes, I know. Well, so that was that I didn't. That's what I was hesitating to maybe mention, but you really need to get your butt up here, because I was promised some company from Jeffrey Decker up in the booth, and then you kind of pulled the rug out from me there.
Yeah, the wheel and wheelbase have to get sent back because
Oh
there's some
no.
random disconnection issues. And I was trying to buy just a new wheelbase and wheel and just finally upgrade to DD, but no one has what I'm looking for in stock. So
Oh
There you
no.
go. There you
yeah,
go.
we'll see though. I think I qualified for like the almost pro like Formula V thing. The North America like PAX is doing a competition, and I
Right.
think
Yep.
that race is on Friday. I'm pretty sure my time will qualify, so I might have to like send it out as soon as I finish that on Friday or something. We'll see if it stays connected this week. Maybe I'll race next week and make Chris sad again, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I clearly I'm joking. That we always love to see you on the track, although we do appreciate your presence in the booth. But yeah, man, that I would not miss that if I were you, especially if you can make that happen. Because honestly, we would probably try to watch that as well and cheer you on.
Yeah, it should be fun if I make it. I was surprised I didn't see Jason trying to qualify for that. I know how much he loves the Formula
Yeah. Well, at any
All right,
rate,
guys. Yeah, I should pop off, but again, just thank you guys so much. Yeah, and cheers to David for an awesome race, an awesome battle there at the end.
Yeah, congrats on the P2. That was hard fought.
Cheers, Jason. Thank you.
Jeffrey Decker there, your second place finisher / pole sitter. Great race. Always puts on a show. Good dude. I'm happy to have him. That's it. And we're trying to talk some people to come in and talk to us, but that's oddly the lowest number of people that we've had come and talk to us after
I'd
a
love to
race.
talk to Mike. I haven't actually talked to Mike Bowers in a while. So Mike, if you're out there, we miss you, man. So
Seriously. Seriously. Well, I guess. Oh wait, we got Jonathan Dockery. We have. Oh no, where'd he go? What happened?
You moved the channel rather than
Moved the
the
whole
guy.
channel.
There you go.
I moved the whole channel. All right. We got
Some more
unmute him
moving
here
mountains
too.
there.
I know. I can't trust me with anything. Let's move Winter Challenge all the way. Okay. Jonathan Dockery joining us here with a really good race going. Unfortunate incident there mid race that probably killed the momentum, but got to be happy overall with the pace and the just kind of what you brought to the table tonight.
Yep, y'all look lonely, so I figured I'd come say hi and say thanks for all you do. It was fun. Had a really good week and I think I qualified 10th. Yeah, unfortunate incident. Not sure if that's gonna be on me or on Edwin, but it is what it is. I knew that him and Carl were behind me and they race better and faster than I do, so I was just wanting top 10. So when Carl got to me, it was like, I'm just gonna let Carl go, slide in between the two, and pit. That way, because I knew whenever we pit that it gaps the field a little bit, because not everybody gets on and off pit road the same speed. So I honestly figured let Carl go, pit, come out, and then as pit cycles through, I should be okay, and there should be gaps throughout the field where I can kind of settle in. But unfortunately, I think Edwin, whenever he came off pit road, he locked up the brakes and slid out in the middle of the track, and I T-boned him. So that ended both of our nights.
So tell us a bit about. So you've been working with Carl this season, right?
Yeah, a little bit. And Carl will tell you the only thing
A
like
little bit. That's not what I heard.
it's not really. Carl will tell you that it's not really on track. Like we don't work a lot for on track stuff because
Yeah.
he's told me all the way along. He's all season long. Your pace is fine. It's not your pace. It's your head.
Yeah.
It's like you got to change how you look at stuff because last season it was every time out. I didn't care if it was practice, qualifying, or race. I had to set the best time that I'd set, period, every time on the track. I didn't care if I was racing a guy by myself. That was my whole goal. Get faster. I'm not fast enough. So whenever I started working with Carl, and well, Steve tells me the same thing. They're like, it's how you're looking at stuff. Just change your focus. So as soon as SNS ended last season, I talked to Carl that night, and he was like, "I'll work with you next season." I took the week off, thought about what I want to do whenever I came back. Like I did not drive hardly at all during the off week. And it was all I'm gonna focus on is hitting my marks, running good lines. trying really hard not to run over people and see where it goes. Because I
Yeah.
was 1400 iRating at the start of the season. Now I'm 2437. My goal coming in was 2 top 10s in SNS and 2K iRating by the end of the season. I've
Well,
got
whatever
one.
you guys are doing, certainly keep it up. If there's anybody to listen to, it's definitely Carl Dronke. So,
Oh yeah, and he's like, and he keeps telling me, he's like, told you it was all in your head. Now just keep doing what you're doing, and we'll start working on some track stuff to get where you can race with the guys that you're as fast as now. Because I still don't race that well, but I have some speed, like we saw tonight. So, but it's been fun. I'm really looking forward to next week. I hadn't been there. We hadn't been there in a long time, but I went and checked it out earlier, and I'm pretty good there. I think at one time, on the practice side of things, on the long track, me and Bill Groombridge were 6th and 7th in the world. So that's a pretty good track for me. I like it. So we'll see how next week goes.
Sounds all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, man. Obviously not the result that you were looking for tonight, but when you're talking about a season long competition, that is, I'm not going to speak for you, but that is something what you were able to put out there tonight, minus the incident. That's something to build off of for sure. Like
Yeah,
that's a stepping stone, as far as I'm concerned. I've had
yeah,
races like that in my own leagues where it's like, well, I didn't end up where I wanted, but dang, it felt good, there for a little bit. So it oddly felt encouraging going into the next race.
yep. When we qualified, the first lap. At the end of my first lap, I was 5th. My next 2 laps weren't great, and I was 15th, and then I think I ended up 10th. And for me, that's great because usually I qualify mid-pack or worse. So it was fun. Like I said, I'm looking forward to next week. The track I'm really looking forward to is Imola because Imola for me is kind of like Watkins Glen. It's just one of those tracks I click with and love. So we'll see what the stewards say about the Edwin incident, and hopefully I get a race next week and not pass through the pit. But we'll see.
There you go. There
another
you
week,
go.
another race. Yeah.
Oh man, I passed through the pit so many times in the last 2 seasons.
Uh,
I think that penalty should just be called the John penalty.
It's good.
I own it.
Well, you're certainly in good company, man. There's been a lot of pass through penalties for sure. But
yeah.
hey, any final thoughts before we let you go? We got some mics in the interview standby booth, but we want to give you one last chance to give some shout outs.
No, not really. Thank the guys that worked with me this season and gave me advice. In the past, and there is. So I have put together a new program that we're going to start this week. I've got Mike Bowers, Jeffrey Decker, Steve Durr, myself, and then he doesn't race in the league, but he does the Wednesday and the Friday practice races a lot. His name's Leo, and I'll slaughter his last name, but he's like 4K. He races with Johnny Gundy a lot. Those guys are going to come in and help, and we're going to try to do a Skippy racing school type deal. So looking forward to getting that going. So if anybody needs help, they're welcome to look up with us. But I'm excited about that. But other than that, no, we're good to go.
Very good, man. Well, good luck next week. Congratulations. You had some great pace, and barring, one incident, I think it would have been a fantastic finish for you. But either way, we'll look forward to seeing you next week, and take care.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Take care, John.
I almost moved Jake. He's quicker than I was. Let's bring in Mike Bowers into the booth, who finished the race backwards.
That's awesome, Mike. That is the coolest thing I've seen all season.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably don't think so. You
Yeah.
might have a different view of things, but from where we were sitting, that was pretty impressive.
And he's not there. Mike? Okay. No.
My guess is he can probably hear us, but yeah, Discord. When your audio settings change under Windows 10, who knows what your device settings
That
are?
was such a good intro too.
Yeah.
I feel like we really nailed that.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
I don't know why this thing hates me, but
Did you hear our lead in? Because it was epic.
No, I didn't hear the lead in. Yeah, I won't make you repeat it. I can watch a YouTube thing.
Fair enough.
Well, make sure you do it with scotch in hand.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't drink anymore. I became a professional. There was nowhere to go but up, so I
Yeah,
quit. So,
yeah, that's good. Yeah, once you've mastered the craft, you know.
yeah,
Well,
what do you do?
I'll have one for you then.
There
I
you
will.
go.
Please
Yeah, I'll
do.
take one for the team.
Please do. I felt like I took a couple for the team tonight.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Well, I mean, you had a great race, and I'm sure it was some fantastic competition. Probably one of the few times that I've seen somebody finish backwards. But just talk to us through, from start to finish, really, how you felt about the race here at Hockenheim.
Well, I actually really, really like the track. The shorter, the less drafty, the better for me. I like them that way. And I didn't get a lot of time to practice this week. I actually put in a new wheel and pedals. So I ran a couple practice sessions in one pub with those, and I was fairly comfortable with them, but I tweaked them last night, and I thought I'd get some time to finish them off today. So this is my list of excuses. Then I didn't. So I didn't quite get the steering wheel. It didn't quite give me the feedback I was looking for, and I was having trouble driving too much understeer into the car, and I just couldn't pan it out. So I was a little slow during the race. Honestly, I was about 2/10 off of where I should be. So anyway, I was just trying to hang on to Jeffrey. I was just saving fuel like crazy early because I was like, "There's no use passing here because you can't pass." And I thought I'll try to pass in the pits and just hang on. And then I made a mistake and I lost Jeffrey and David's so stupid fast. And I knew he was coming, but I was going to fight him a little hard because, Jeffrey's one of my boys. And I thought, heck, why the guy jumps in for just one race with David. So I thought, well, I'll fight him a little hard. What the heck? We'll have some fun. And that didn't work out. Anyway. And then, yeah, finish backwards. What else can you say?
The
Sums it all up.
Yeah, I'll give you a 10 for flair or performance. Yeah.
Well, what was so impressive is you clearly had your head on a swivel. So as soon as you got spun around, you could tell that you were working on, okay, well, these are the cards, or this is the hand that I was dealt, so I guess we're doing this. And you just slung it into reverse and got it done. That was awesome.
Well, and I also was thinking about it. I'm supposed to be a steward. What's this look like? I was like, I better stay really close to the wall here. Because if I screw up anybody's else's race, this is not going to look good. But I'm like, I am finishing this son of a gun, and I can't do cookies out in the middle, and I'm not ejecting. So if you got to fire me, fire me. But I finished in reverse, by golly.
And did it cleanly.
Yes, yeah. I bounced and ricocheted a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, it looked good. He definitely finished in style.
We're going to do a slow-mo replay of that, by the way, as we come to the checker flag. But not to rub it in, just to admire what you were able to accomplish there. Yeah, so, by the way, not for nothing, and I kind of feel like a broken record, but just for those of you out there who, maybe don't watch these races every week, this is a tough league, and you finished driving backwards and still got a 6th place overall. So, obviously, clearly not the finish you wanted, but at the same time, like, that's going to be one of those marquee finishes where you're like, yeah, I drove backwards and got 6th place in a league full of these competitors. I mean, I'm sorry, but this is one to remember.
Definitely goes on the end of season highlight reel.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if I can't be good, I might as well be unique.
There you go. Yeah. We do need to award style points going forward. We will talk to the stewards about that. I don't know when or if we can make that happen, but you certainly earned it, if only. But either way, any last final thoughts? Any last shout outs you want to give as we watch you wheel it backwards here across the start finish line into the wall, trying to...
No. Shout out to Jeffrey. He ran a really good race. David, he did a good job. I mean, he's stupid fast. We haven't seen him in a while. But it was good. I mean, good racetrack. you can pass. Actually, in the public race, I made some pretty awesome passes, so it can be done. And I like it. It's fun. The league is super, super good. It's amazing to see all the speed coming up. Michael was fast. He was faster than me by about 2/10, and I thought about letting him go, and then I thought, we got a couple of laps. We'll just race hard and see what happens. But it's good. The league is good. Life's good. You guys are good. Everything's stinking good.
I love that. I'm feeling good right now. Love the attitude, man. Well, hey, really appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you next week. And thanks for joining us up here. Have a great rest of your evening. And yeah, same bad time, same bad channel next Sunday.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. Good job, Mike. Take care.
See you, Mike.
Bye.
Well, gents, that's it. McLeod was in there for a little bit, but it looks like he backed out. Probably had other things to do. So we're just going to call it. And final thoughts there, Jake, Ashe, P2 in the Skippy Formula 2 race. And
I'm pretty happy about that. Shout out to Andy. Sorry, I thought that was a throw.
Yeah.
Shout out to Andy for that.
I always feel bad because we just don't have the time to really delve into the Skippy Formula 2 race. And I do feel like there are more races than not that need analysis, like that are due analysis. And I always feel bad about that. But, your race was really well done. We touched on it, but it's like in the heat of the SF1 race.
Oh, yeah.
So I always feel really bad about that. But you did a hell of a strategy. But Andy Au just obviously super fast,
incredibly fast, and he's out there working on grinding that 2K. He's trying to transcend out of SF2. So
we have some who recently transcended, right?
So we had Chaz Weber.
Chaz Weber transcended.
He got his 2K this week. Yep.
Yeah.
So congrats to Chaz. I do feel like maybe we need a an image or something.
Something.
Those who have transcended to Skippy Formula 1 this week. Like
SF2 with a halo on it.
Yeah.
Memoriam, yeah. But
we have to do that. We've got to figure that out, Jake.
Yeah,
awesome.
Something.
We'll work with it.
We'll do like a Emmy style, like with the slow classical music in the background.
Yep.
It'd be good. But so great race from you, finishing P2 overall. You looked really comfortable this week.
I had the week off from work. I did. I had lots of extra seat time,
and it was.
It really is
Good.
Yep. Unfortunately, I'm going back to work next week, so I don't know how I'm going to do Atlanta short, but I still think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun racing. It's a little draftier than here, I think. So I think we'll see a lot more of that draft strategy play out. I'm hoping to find someone that I can work with. We'll see. I don't know.
Bill, it is hard not to have fun at Road Atlanta, though.
Absolutely.
Oh.
The short layout though is weird. It's got that extra chicane, or maybe I'm thinking of club. One of them is really weird to drive.
Club. Short's mostly it's basically an oval except for from turn 1 through 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
And then but you have that chicane at the end. I shouldn't say it's an oval. I mean there's places to make mistakes for sure.
I mean,
it's gonna be fun to watch.
Not that you can't make mistakes at an oval.
Sure.
If you push in the wrong buttons here.
That's like, I feel like you have not seen me race. But anyway, that'll be good. The I've not seen this particular layout, but I was introduced to Road Atlanta for our first ever Winter Challenge race in the GT3s. Right. That was where I got my indoctrination, and I was like, "This track is crazy." Is so it's I can't imagine cutting that off a little bit and maybe make it a little more round. But looking forward to it. And you're Jake, you're gonna be racing SF2.
Yes, for sure. And then I probably depends on how I feel. If I'm as tired as I was tonight physically, then I may come back up in the booth again.
You know what? Maybe we just need to tire you out so you only got one race in you, because we really love having you up here.
I appreciate it.
Awesome.
It was fun watching it with y'all and trying to keep up with everything. I think we covered it pretty well. I'll have to go back and watch again. We always get feedback about what we missed, but that's fine. We don't anticipate to always get everything.
the trappings of such a competitive league. You know, every time I was cycling through the field to look at this person or that person, there was always a battle, either them or nearby them. Always something going on.
Yep.
And I've said it before, Chris. I don't know how you manage the race that you do. So the people that, for the people that can't see what he's working with, he has this NASA level dashboard in front of him that he is trying to navigate. He's keeping track of track incidents, trying to queue up replays, stay on top of the action, and hold a conversation with Jake and I. So I couldn't do it. I don't know how you do it.
You know, I feel bad. I don't ever want to get defensive, but I do feel like there's a lot of times where you get a lot of my verbal pauses, probably more so than you would in a natural conversation with me if we were just talking face to face. Where I do a lot of uhs and ahs, and it's mainly because I'm trying to click.
I do that without that dashboard in front of me. So.
So for people who think that I just like to do a lot of, you know, that's at least partially to blame. I won't say completely to blame, but
you're just focusing to aim. Click.
Right. Yeah. I like to have excuses for my shortcomings, but yeah, no, I appreciate that, guys. It's still a lot of fun, and we do. You know, for those of you who are not aware, by this point, I don't know because we've been doing it for a couple of weeks, but the USF 2000 races are being carried by Cav-OK, which is the banner under which this is carried by Pim Luth and Peter Lee. And Jake,
I will probably jump in. I know there's a couple races that Peter wants to run, so I'll probably jump in and help him call those.
Right. That's what it was. Yeah. So Jake, always is helping out. He's part of the conversation.
I'll probably jump in for the next oval race to actually race too. That's I don't have time to dedicate to learning road tracks in the USF, but I can run it on an oval.
All right, there you go. So we're doing that for Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, roughly. I think it might be a little bit earlier than that for the qualifying and all. But go ahead and check that out. So Pim, Peter also understand the challenges that come with that. Jake, obviously, too. He was gracious enough to do a solo broadcast for us when I was taking the week off, and I think we may have scared him away from ever wanting to do that again. But it's certainly appreciated it. But
sure.
USF 2K Thursday nights, potential, and this is very early in the conversation right now, but we may be carrying the Bonfire Racing League Sunday morning oval races that we do with the Cup Series.
Nice.
That our previous broadcaster kind of dumped us. I reached out to Pim, Peter, Jake, and said, hey, what do you guys think? And so we may be carrying them at least on a part-time basis until maybe a potential full-time solution be figured out. But either way, if you like what we do and you like the conversational, personal approach to the broadcast, go check that out. And we hope that makes it a little more enjoyable for people instead of like the overproduced, we got, split screen with commercials, like trying to make it look like NBC or Fox or anything like that. Like that's just not how we roll. We just like to approach it like we're chatting about a race that we're watching together, with our buddies. So, Yep. Anyway, all right, going on and on.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
It is so hard to say goodbye. I never know how to wrap this crap up, guys. I don't know how to put a bow on it. It just is. There's no natural.
So it was a great race. I had a good time watching it. Jason, did you have a great time watching it?
I did. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
Like I said, everywhere I looked, there was an awesome battle going on, and really enjoyed calling the race with you guys. That's all I've got.
I think that's
perfect.
It. I think we can take it from there.
You see how hard it is? Like, yeah,
sure.
Well, it's cool.
Did we talk about the V though?
Saturday mornings. That is also, so we mentioned this, I think, in the Skippy Formula 2 broadcast, but I'll just touch on it once again real quick. I'm going to talk really fast because it makes me feel like I'm not dragging this out longer than I should. Skippy Formula 2, Saturday mornings, 11 Eastern?
Formula V.
Yeah, and by Skippy Formula 2,
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Formula V. Formula V. 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when, or 11:10 Eastern Standard Time is when qualifying starts. But there's an hour prior to that of practice, so like 10 to 11 a.m. time frame Saturday mornings. Formula V. Ian Worrell broadcast that on his Barefoot Racing Twitch stream, which you can find on our Discord there, and check it out. The racing there is fantastic. The atmosphere that we've set for Formula V, I think, is rivals, if not exceeds, our Skippy, climate, if you will. So go check that out. Great times. I'm not gonna I already asked you guys for your last thoughts, so I'm just gonna say good night to everybody. We'll see you next week here at Road Atlanta. Some short configuration of that, I'm not sure which, but it should be exciting. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Everybody, take care of yourselves. Have a great night. Treat each other kindly, and we will see you in 7 days.
All right, take it easy, guys.
See you, Jason.